Let's preview the Cure Bowl. It's App State versus Miami of Ohio. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, again, continued thanks for the subscriptions. You know, it could be 200 in a week. Again, didn't think we were going to get to 1,000 by the end of the year, and we got over it in a week. So appreciate that. Again, special shout out to Ragin Pagin and the Ragin Review for pumping me up. So it is special. Continue to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your audio podcasts, just search Locked On Sunbelt. All right. In addition to the preview of the Cure Bowl, we'll do is the Sunbelt rep on the line and a little hoops preview. We talked to Cajun Cowboys. We'll see who else is hitting the hardwood this weekend. All right. So now you have what could be the best ball game that the Sunbelt is in. Miami of Ohio taking on App State. But as has been the case so far, it appears, the Sunbelt team catching a break. Miami beat Toledo in the MAC championship. They're good. They're a good football team, have a good defense. But guess what? The QB is in the transfer portal. All right, Avion Smith, he led the way, but he went into the portal. And Miami is down to third-string quarterback Henry Hessen. App State turned their season around after having really a pretty good year, but having some very, very tough losses, right? They lost in, double overtime to North Carolina and Drake May. They lost on a last-second field goal to Wyoming. They lost a ball game at Coastal Carolina that they should have won. And then they lost at Old Dominion 28-21, not having more than a one-score loss this year. And then they turned it around with a 20-point fourth quarter against Southern Miss. They were down 10, ended up winning 10 by 10. They destroyed Marshall, took care of the rival Georgia State 42-14. And then took down James Madison in the whole game day festivities. And, is JMU going to be eligible? And then they didn't. And they didn't get caught up in the hoopla. And they beat James Madison in overtime, letting the game get away, but beating them in overtime. Took care of Georgia Southern, their other rival, maybe their main rival, destroyed them 55-27. And they lost to Troy 49-23 in the Sun Belt Championship game. But that game, one of those things I say, spun out of control, right? This was... it was a tie game. Troy held App State to a field goal, so it was like 21-17. Next play was a scoop and score, so a 21-17 game instantaneously became a 28-17 game, and then it got away from them from there. All right, but this bowl game does, it gives Sean Clark and Joey Aguilar and the rest of the Mountaineers a chance to get the bad taste out of their mouths following that bowl game, following the Sun Belt Championship game. They'll be doing it without Nate Noel, who was also in the transfer portal. That feels like it's an NIL deal. Hopefully it works out for him. All right. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully he finds a good home that A, he gets an NIL deal, and B, he can play. I'm not sure why he left other than the potential NIL deal. All right. This is a ball game that's going to pit Miami's defense. This is by Visson again. Red Hawks have been carried by their defense that has held opponents to 20 or fewer points in 8 of their last 10 ball games and ranked 7th in the nation in scoring defense at 16.2 points per game. All right. But Miami's defense will be tested by App State's offense, 34.5 points a game, 20 nationally. Joey Aguilar established a school record at 3,546 passing yards and was third nationally with 33 touchdowns. All right. App State's defense has gotten better, has allowed just over 18 points in its last 4 regular season games before the output against Troy in the Sun Belt Championship game. And again, no Nate Noel. Visson is picking Miami of Ohio, and that can't be. Okay, you can't. App State can't lose to a Miami team who is down to third string QB Henry Hessen, who threw his 5 career collegiate passes last year. Colorado transfer Maddox Kopp is backup. Who played in 2 games for the Buffaloes last season. So again, this is a type of situation where, just like Georgia Southern, they can't lose to the backup. You can't lose, all right? And I believe App State is going to be motivated for this one. And this kind of leads into the next segment. And we'll talk about, the rep for the Sun Belt. They have to win some of these ball games. You can't be boasting about how great your conference is and then lay an egg against teams that you should beat, all right? If this was the Miami of Ohio starting quarterback, then okay. Or even if you had a 2-quarterback rotation and he was getting some play. Now you get a couple weeks to practice. I understand that. You do get a handful of practices in there, but now all of a sudden it's not about, it really is actually about the young guys coming in, right? You can't sprinkle in some young guys. You're practicing somebody who has not gotten first team reps for most of the season, got backup reps. And I would think that App State is going to win this ball game. Let's see what the line is. It's actually on ABC, 2:30 Central Time, so 3:30 Eastern Time. For the folks in lovely Boone, North Carolina, App State is a 6.5-point favorite. I'll take App State. I think App State's going to roll. All right. If this was the Miami of Ohio who beat Toledo, it's a great name of a bowl, right? The Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. And it's in Orlando, and it's on a weekend, so maybe people are going down there from lovely Boone, North Carolina, not that far of a drive. What can you hook up? Let me see. Do they hook up right with 75? Let's see here. Boone, North Carolina. All right. Do directions, maps. Let's see here. 2 directions to Orlando. Let's see how far it is away. That's right down 95. Right down. You hook up with 95 in there. All right. So you get down 95. It's a little bit of a schlep. It's a 10-hour drive. All right. So it's a long day. So I would presume there'll be some people there, and you can, you can get some kids out of school for a couple of days. You can actually do the Disney stuff before everybody hits it over the holiday break. Again, I think App State's going to win. And they catch a break. Let's be honest. They catch a break with the Max start, the Avion Smith not playing the game. All right. So that's not App State's fault, but they need to take advantage of it. They need to be ready to do that. All right, let's take a time out. Let's talk about, what I mentioned, the Sun Belt rep is on the line because you put 12 teams in a bowl game, you got to beat some of these out-of-conference games, all right? You got to beat some of these out-of-conference teams to show that you were the best, certainly the best Group of 5 conference, at least on the field, this season. Let me tell you, we'll come back and do that. Let me tell you about Gametime. There we go. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And with zone deals, you pick the section, Gametime picks the best seats for an average of 18% savings. And Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day. And so the Sunbelt is in 12 bowl games, right? And I would think their rep is on the line. The problem is, right, their two best teams lost their head coaches. Kurt Cignetti is in Indiana, and John Summerall went to Tulane. So that's not necessarily fair, all right? Coastal Carolina seems to have lost a quarter of their team, including a couple of quarterbacks. Grayson McCall, although he's been out, so I'm not even sure he would play. But they're down to their third-string quarterback, Ethan Vasco, who has played and won in the conference. So those are not excuses, all right? We need to know the difference between excuses, trying to win in a rainstorm, with the other team doing the same thing, versus reasons. When you lose a quarter of your team, that's a reason, not an excuse, all right? That doesn't change the fact that, the Sun Belt has to step up. Can the Cajuns make the adjustments that they couldn't make against Southern Miss and Arkansas State and stop the Jacksonville State running game? Now, it doesn't make it easier that the QB is a threat to run, QBs for that fact of the matter, but you need to stack the box and force the QBs to make throws and tell the D-backs and the safeties, you guys are on your own. We're putting 7, 8 guys in the box. You guys are man-to-man. You need to make the plays. And if they hit more than 1 or 2 plays, if they make more than 2 plays over the top of your head, then good for them. But if they're making plays underneath and you're not tackling, that's on you. So the Cajuns need to do that, right? We talk about Georgia Southern. Nobody's playing for Ohio. The whole offense is gone. You need to win that football game. App State playing against a backup quarterback. Need to win football game. Did talk with Keith Gill from the Sun Belt, right? The commissioner of the Sun Belt, because I wanted, it'd be nice if Troy, in this case, played JMU in a bowl game, and nobody really wanted that. It was a rematch. Nobody really wanted that. I did, and I thought you'd get a big crowd at that game. But he said specifically, it's for us to play other teams, right? And Troy is playing Duke in Birmingham, which should be a nice crowd. Now that's Duke without Riley Leonard, so a little bit of, bloom off the rose, if you will. And now Liberty is talking smack because they got the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon, and with Bo Nix playing, I think if Oregon is motivated and it helps that Bo Nix is playing, that they're gonna boat race Liberty. But that's just me. All right. Liberty did not have a very tough schedule, one of the weakest schedules in the nation. They went undefeated. Can't blame the kids, but they were undefeated. It was a very weak schedule. They weren't tested very much. But you got people, Liberty, saying, hey, it doesn't matter if we lose. It's just important to play a Power 5 team in a New Year's 6-day bowl. And there's something to that, but you don't want to get embarrassed, right? Can you pull a Boise and beat Oregon, right? Because nobody in Liberty is going to care. Well, we got way up on Oregon. They gave up. Bo Nix came out of the game. It wasn't worth it. And that doesn't matter. If Liberty wins this ball game or even competes in this game, if this is a 1-score game in the fourth quarter and maybe gets away from them, good for Liberty. Or God forbid they win the game. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. But now Liberty is saying it's more important just to be there than to play well. I happen to think it's important to play well. All right. If you lose 42-10, then what everybody thinks, including me, is going to come to fruition. A little bit, it's a tough word to use, a little bit of a fraud, right? That if you go in there and, don't represent, all right, that it's going to look bad. Now, if you go in there and lose 42-35 or actually win 35-28, who knows what the case is going to be. But that's what then Liberty's going to solidify their own reputation. But if they go in there and Bo Nix only plays 3 quarters because it's 49-10 heading into the fourth, because Oregon's defense smothered Jamie Chadwell's offense, which is not easy to smother. All right, and Liberty couldn't stop Oregon's offense, although their running back is now in the portal. Then it's going to be, it's going to look like Liberty did not mean to be there. That would be the thing. So, and then you have, a bunch of ball games, next week in the Sun Belt bowl games, and we'll go over those, moving forward. But it is important for, the Sun Belt to win some of these games, especially the ones that they should. All right. Cajuns are small. Actually, Jacksonville State's now a small favorite, 2.5 points. But the Cajuns need to stop their run. Okay. We mentioned Ohio is without most of their offense. Miami of Ohio is without their quarterback. And then we'll get into more of these ball games. We'll preview for the Monday episode the Old Dominion ball game, which is against Western Kentucky in Charlotte, the Toastery Bowl, famous Toastery Bowl. That's on Monday. We'll look about Western Kentucky. We're familiar with them. Austin Reed, not quite as good as they were last year. They destroyed South Alabama in the ball game. And then you got Marshall and UTSA, which is going to be tough. South Alabama's playing a home game. Can't lose that one. I understand Colin Lacey and LaDainian Webb are not playing. That makes it tougher, that's for sure. And so we'll get into some of these ball games. Like James Madison needs to beat Air Force. They need to beat Air Force. They should be a bigger favorite. All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll check out the hoops slate this week in the Sun Belt. Only, a couple of more ball games, a couple more weekends. In fact, this may be the last weekend because everyone may be off for the holidays before Sun Belt play actually takes place. Let me tell you a little bit about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. And now I can play during basketball season too. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across the football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at a 10.5-point combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let's check out the hoops. We already talked about the Cajuns taking on McNeese. It's going to be a lot of fun on Sunday. Kind of a good and bad. Hashtag there's always a bright side. I will get to listen to the Saints. Hopefully I don't drive off the side of the road. And because the Saints are struggling with the Tommy DeVito-led Giants. But it is right after the Saints game. So I'll be listening to the Saints game compared to actually dreading watching it and throwing a conniption during that. All right. Quickly, a recap. Thursday, UL Monroe took it on the chin. Lamar hammered ULM 97-73. That was Thursday night. Tonight, we actually have Texas State taking on Sam Houston. Sam Houston, a 4.5-point favorite at home against the Bobcats. Saturday, James Madison is playing Hampton. It doesn't appear, well, the lines don't come out until the day before. So, well, it should be there, right? Is it there because it's I don't know. There's no line for this ball game just yet. So James Madison, 9-0, ranked 20th in the nation. They're on the road against Hampton. Georgia Southern taking on UNC Wilmington. As we mentioned, Georgia Southern did not give up against Tennessee. There's no line on this one. They're playing UNC Wilmington. There should be a line on this. I would presume Georgia Southern is a home dog. App State is taking on Gardner-Webb. Marshall, 3-7. They are struggling in a big way. They're taking on UNC Greensboro. That's a nice ball game. And Georgia State is heading out to Provo to take on the 18th ranked BYU Cougars, 9-1 against Georgia State's 4-5. Georgia State trying to figure them out. They're struggling, but now they're kind of turned things around. They played a home and home against Little Rock, beat them both times. They lost to Charlotte by 8, lost to Kinnison State by 11. They just lost to Mercer by 4. That's a little bit after South Alabama went in there and destroyed them. But maybe they're heading in the right direction. I haven't really seen them play this year, so we'll see. They are 4-5 heading into this ballgame. So it'll be interesting. And again, you do have the Cajuns taking on McNeese. All right. Again, if there's I put it on the Twitter yesterday. There's a meme out there with Will Wade. You know, have you been under a rock? Right. And that comes from the Cajuns press conference, or the LSU press conference after the Cajuns and the Tigers met, and the Tigers won in the NIT. And again, I give a ton of credit to McNeese. You know, Will Wade's playing the bad boy, right? Will Wade, they are going right into that, right? It kind of feels like he got away with a little bit, if not a lot. LSU got away with it. You know, he got fired, and I'm not sure how much he got paid, if he got paid at all, because of the NCAA violations. And he got the show cause, and all of a sudden McNeese is playing very well, right? They blew out Southern Miss. This could be a tricky part for the Cajuns, I presume. I don't see any. Did not see a line for this ball game either. This one is Sunday, so we may not have a line at all. I don't even see the lines for the games that are on Saturday. So no line here. I presume McNeese will be favored in this one. They're 9-2. Cajuns are, or no. Yeah, they're 9-2. The Cajuns are 6-4. So, but anyways, they put out McNeese put out a video that he's back, and he's wearing the black hat. He's got the black bandana, you know, handkerchief in front of his face, and he's, you know, he's Willie the Kid. Full into it. They had a packed house. They are kind of going up against the Saints, all right? And so we'll see what the crowd is like in the second half. So, you know, it is in Lake Charles. I'm sure there's plenty of Saints fans there. But we'll see if they have a packed arena. They had a packed arena last time out, so we shall see. I'm going to be there. So it's going to be, we're off to New Orleans for the New Orleans Bowl. The luncheon with Avery Johnson on Friday, and then we'll have complete coverage of the New Orleans Bowl on Saturday. But it starts early, so I'm not spending the night, and it's a highway, so it's an easy 2-hour ride. You know, if we're on the road by 6, probably earlier, we'll be fine. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt. Again, thank you so much for all the subscriptions, all the subscribers. It really blows me away. Again, you know, like for the first 3 weeks of November, we had like 30 subscribers, and we very well could end up with 200 this week alone. And that puts us over the top. And during a tough time for me, a little bit of confidence boost, and, you know, a little bit of cash boost as well. So, you know, we say the quiet part out loud. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the bowl games. We will be back on Monday. We'll recap the New Orleans Bowl and the other bowl games. You got Georgia Southern and Ohio, and App State and Miami of Ohio. So we will do all of that on Monday, and we'll preview Western Kentucky and ODU as well. Again, have a great weekend. I'm Dave Schultz, and you've been listening and watching to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.